are live. How you doing, everybody? It's your boy Wardy, and we're coming at you with the latest Mets pregame show here live on WardyNYM's YouTube channel, also live on the WardyNYM Twitter. So make sure you guys are hitting that like, that follow button, that retweet button. Everyone first watching live on Twitter, everyone here on YouTube. We have a lot to get into as we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know, along with the lineups, the pitching matchups, and everything else in between the Tigers and Mets matchup today, which as of now is going to start on time. I highly doubt that. I'm expecting there to be a rain delay. I'm expecting there to be plenty weather issues tonight. They're trying to get this game in, so we'll see what happens. But for the time being, the show's going on, so the same applies here on the channel. But just fair warning to everyone watching on Twitter, know that I will only be interacting with the people here on YouTube. So again, I greatly appreciate everyone first chiming in live on a replay. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Help us get to our next short-term goal of 25,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Really does mean a lot, and thank you all so much in advance. Like I said, we have plenty to get into in this one after another abysmal Metropolitan loss yesterday by a final score that we saw there of, what was it, 5-0 in extras. I'm still bothered by that, but we move on. We move on to the next. So yes, and we're at the point where I wouldn't be opposed if the game got rained out, just because this Mets team and rainy weather, cold, rainy weather early in the season, how can you expect good things to happen from that naturally, right? But regardless, we're going to break it all down so that everyone first chiming in. Appreciate you guys. BR, appreciate you a lot. Gregory, great member. Please get the win. You said it best. James, how you doing? Happy to have you in there. Great member. I see Rangers Central, Irv, PA, E-Likes, Ray, everybody watching live on a replay. Again, happy to have you all in here. Yoshima, great member as always. Appreciate Homero in here as well. Thank you so much. You see, we even got Braves fans pulling for us, guys. That's how low we are as Mets fans, only 4 games into the season. Unfortunately, that is a reality we find ourselves in. And like I said, we have plenty to get into on this pitching matchup. You look at the lineups for both teams today. I'm going to tell you guys right now, yes, this is a yay lineup for me. And what do I mean by that? You see the yay and nays in the bottom right. You guys and gals, let me know if you're yaying or naying the Metropolitan lineup that we have displayed here on the left side. We'll talk about the lineup today, what to expect potentially from the Tigers lineup, and then from there we will get into the pitching matchup, as I mentioned already, which is going to look exactly like this. So we'll talk about Casey Mize and why I'm concerned to face him tonight, for even though he's going to be on the bump for the first time in a regular season game in just under 2 years. Casey Mize is a dog. I think he's going to have a good outing, unfortunately, against our Metropolitans tonight. And then from there, we're going to wrap up the show by getting into my favorite picks and parlays of the day, as you guys see right here. So we'll break them down a little bit further, but a little sneak peek. Yes, I'm absolutely loving the Braves today against the White Sox for obvious reasons. Red Sox, and yes, the Diamondbacks against the New York Yankees. I do believe the Yanks run will come to an end today, thanks to Zach Gallen, the New Jersey native. So we'll get into all that and then some, and also make sure to click the link down below. That way you too get a 125% bonus with your first 3 deposits with our great friends at BetUS, who have you covered with all your sports betting needs. As you see right down below, we have currently the run line and the money line. Mets are the betting favorite right now, which means you shouldn't bet on them. Truthfully, any Mets fan, unless you're a sicko like me, where your bias at times supersedes your rationality when betting, definitely do not implore you all to go out your way to bet on the Mets today, even though that, yes, they might win. That's always a possibility. There's far more reasons to believe that they'll lose 4 games into the season at this point. So with the Detroit Tigers as the underdog as well, I would take things a step further. And if you push bias aside, I would favor Detroit between the two right now, because again, the Mets have proven nothing to us through the first 4 games of the season. So why should we buy in prior to physically seeing with our eyes that the team itself has bought in, right? So again, make sure you guys and gals bet responsibly, but we'll wrap things up with our parlay picks. And I will say, finally, we absolutely were brutal in our first 2 games of the season, first 2 days rather, doing our picks of the day, our multi-pick parlay. Yesterday, we finally hit on our Wardy's parlay, so I hope you guys tailed and got in on the action for 2 out of those 3 picks, because the third one I scratched it, didn't like it, and it ended up not hitting, so I'm glad I did that. But I digress. Let's get into this one now. Let's talk about the lineup with these 2 teams. As I said earlier, I want to get the yays or the nays, how you feel about this. Let me know in the chat. Greatly appreciated. Help us get to 100 likes for our goal at any point in the show. Greatly appreciate everyone watching on YouTube. Tonight is a must-win game. We're already at must-win territory here. 5 games in the season, baby. There you go. Anthony Doe, thank you so much for the $5 Holly. Says, power. I can't take another loss. You're not ready for the Metropolitan season then, my friend. I'm sorry to say that. I appreciate the donation no less. Yes, I hope the Mets don't lose tonight either, should they play. We got Nicholas saying, Wardy, want to share a bottle of tequila for this game? I think we all need it. If I didn't have to cover the game afterwards, then I would say yes. Otherwise, you guys are not only going to see a ranting Wardy potentially after a 5th straight loss, but then you got to deal with a potentially sloshed Wardy. No good is going to come of that. If you guys have seen that, that's been at Citi Field. I hope that is not a side that you have to see all too often, especially, you know how this team has been playing right now, and you know that the bar is fairly low at the moment. No, I don't want to wash away my misery that way, and I do not suggest you do that either, folks. But hey, if you want to do a drinking game, whatever you want to do, again, drink responsibly, 21 and up here in the States. Hey, now let's get into it. I want to talk about these lineups, folks, okay? Let's get into, yes, you can say, talk about short people tonight. Oh, good. Yes, you can. You guys are killing me in the chat already. I missed you guys. This is the one thing that I look forward to every single day. It's talking to you guys and gals, especially when we're going through this misery together. But as we take a look at the Metropolitan lineup today, it is the following. WardyNYM leading things off. Francisco Lindor, both of them have been absolutely horrendous to start the season. Need them both to wake up mightily, because this Mets lineup will go nowhere without the key heart of their lineup, that being in their top players, WardyNYM, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Francisco Alvarez. If they're not there, you got nothing, right? Pete Alonso batting third. He went 0 for 4 yesterday. Definitely want to see Pete bounce back today. I know the conditions aren't ideal, and trust me when I say I don't want to watch the Mets in a rainy game where you can potentially have injury risk higher. 1 and 2, the Mets, how many games have we seen the Mets over the past couple of years play early season games in rainy, shitty weather and have very entertaining ball games? Hasn't been too common. I hope that changes tonight, but I'm not getting my hopes up by any stretch. Then we have Francisco Alvarez, the best young catcher in Major League Baseball, and yes, I'll stand by that, at the age of 22 there, aside from Adley Rutschman. Adley's a beast, we know that. Francisco Alvarez, and over 1,000 OPS still so far this season, had himself a double yesterday. He's looked great both offensively and defensively. There's no gripes there. Brett Beatty. Beatty's been looking really good so far this year, guys. I'm loving his ability to not only drive, lift, and pull the baseball. Yesterday, he had a deep fly out to center, but 107 off the bat. That looked great. Brett Beatty is looking the best that I feel like we've seen him in his professional career now at the MLB level, both offensively and defensively. Had a great defensive play yesterday. What I love so much is not only him diving out there in the hot corner, but popping up so quick and with confidence, with a lot of, and I mean a lot of juice, throwing that thing to Pete Alonso at first. That wasn't a lollipop throw that we seen from Brett just a couple days ago. That was the type of throw and the exact type of play you hope to see from an aggressive third baseman. So Brett Beatty continue to look good, and I absolutely love him batting 5th today. I really do. This is a great spot for him to try to shine. I love McNeil being moved down in the order until he gets himself right this year, because he's off to a horrendous start through the first couple games. Starting Marte batting 6 as protection there, which is good. Marte's been off to a tremendous start this year, this season to this point that we have seen. Jeff McNeil again batting 7th. Tyrone Taylor getting the start in left field, which I like a lot too. I'm excited about that matchup. Harrison Bader there then for, yes, the center field position, where Bader, I don't love him against righties at all, because he's not really good against righties, but the Mets don't have a whole lot of options at the current moment until they potentially, want to bring up a guy like Drew Gilbert later in the season. So until something like that happens, we're going to see a good chunk of Bader, whether it's warranted or not. So that is what we have for the Metropolitan lineup. And again, I know I asked it. I will ask it again, everybody. Let me know. Are you giving me a yay or are you giving me a nay regarding the Mets lineup today? In my humble opinion, even though that's been an absolute, pardon my French, earmuffs, kiddos, a shit show of an offensive outing every single day outside of what we saw after you threw out Rhys Hoskins a couple days ago. Outside of that, there's been nothing to show. But having said that all, I still think that this is the best lineup that we have seen to this point. I really, really like the not only the depth, but the balance. And JD Martinez, who can return to the Mets as soon as Sunday, according to Carlos Mendoza, once he's in that lineup, this team, just like that, does look a lot deeper. So yeah, let me know if you guys are on the yay or the nay regarding how you feel about today's lineup configuration from Carlos Mendoza. And when speaking about Jeff McNeil moving in the order, Mendoza said that Jeff never really has a problem where he is in the lineup, which makes it easy with his versatility in that sense. So with Jeff having a cold start to the season, in ways costing the Mets certain aspects when he is up there at bat, if he's not providing the offense that we expect from him, it's better to have him ladder in the order like this. And again, front load your go-to guys, right? I understand you're not going to drastically move Nimmo and Lindor just yet. That's something that could change, God forbid, if they continue to have a horrendous stretch for the next week to two. Then that's where we have the discussion. Well, that's where you're really going to want to mix things up significantly. But for now, they're going to stay in the 1-2-3, and I expect them to thrive there sooner rather than later, hopefully starting tonight. Pete Alonso at 3-hole, want him there all year. Do not want that to change. Then JDM 4th, Alvarez 5th, potentially Beatty 6th there, or maybe you want to flip-flop them if you really care about the righty-lefty matchup that much, and then Marte, and then again, your lab just looks much deeper. So it sucks. I know that it feels like Sunday is a month away with the way this team is playing. And what even sucks more is I feel like we're going to be looking at JD Martinez to be our true saving grace, when that is something that we shouldn't be trying to put the pressure on his shoulders for, when in reality, JD Martinez can hopefully just be the type of power bat that you've been seeking in the DH position consistently over the past 3 years since the position became universal. But JD, I am damn excited to see him in this lineup. The Mets need him now more than ever. And whether it's the right or wrong reason to have these lofty expectations, fans naturally are going to cling on to him and hope for the best, in which he did have himself a couple hits today, including a double in a simulated game there in Port St. Lucie, as he continues to ramp up. And as Mendoza was quoted today saying, this will be a quick ramp up time for JD Martinez. This is strictly just because he didn't get any playing time there in spring training because it took so long to sign for the grizzled vet, and he needs to make sure he doesn't have any back flare-ups or anything like that, which is something that has been a problem with him now as he's gotten older in his career, famously in the 2022 season during his time with the Boston Red Sox. Let's see. Change Nimmo's graphic to DH. Is Nimmo... Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies, everybody. Is Nimmo DHing today? Oh, that's my bad, guys and gals. I'm not going to change the graphic, though. It's too late for that. We already have everything set up. I'm going to get a little glitchy if that happens. So, is Brandon Nimmo... Pardon me. Is Brandon Nimmo DH today? If so, that's all on me, everybody, and I apologize. Yep, Brandon Nimmo is in DH today. So my apologies there. Nimmo gets the day off. So that way, obviously, Taylor plays left and Harrison Bader plays center. I'm not sure why I didn't realize that sooner. So shame on me for that one. Let's see. Ray, why should we listen to you in Pennsylvania? The same reason why you're still chiming in, my friend. I have faith another 50 on the Mets. Daniel, okay, buddy. All I say is make sure you're using our great sponsor, BetUS, and I wish you luck. I truly do, but you heard me. You know what I said. JD the Messiah Martinez. There you go. See, naturally, again, whether you like it or not, that's the reality we find ourselves in. A DH again today, guys and gals, is Brandon Nimmo. My apologies on the error with the graphic. I thought I had everything set up, but if I didn't have at least one error, I'm not doing it. I'm clearly not doing something right. Let's see here. In the chat, going up real quick. Professional certified hater, thank you so much for the $5 holla. Tonight's game will be delayed, already announced by the Mets. Perfect. That way we have a little bit more leash here. There will be a little bit more of a window from the time of the game after the conclusion of the pregame show. So not complaining there. Let's see here. Only 5 games, but relying on your sophomore stud catcher to carry this team with all the talent we have is unacceptable and pathetic. It's embarrassing. It absolutely is. And that's not something the Mets should be relying on in regards to him, but they have to this point. So hopefully that changes, meaning Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, simply put, do your job. That's all you got to do. You literally just got to do your job, right? So, that's all I got on that one. Appreciate the donation. Thank you so much, Certified. Really does mean a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me catch up with everybody before we get on to the pitching matchups. Oh, good answer. There you go, Ray. Love to see it. Why the heck would you trade Nimmo? I'm not even considering the trade Nimmo talks right now. You schmucks can have it yourselves. When I say schmucks, please do not get overly offended. I say it for literally everyone, including myself. If you do, at that point, I'm not apologizing. I just explained it properly. So, what's up, Ryan Clifford President? How you doing, you beauty? I do not have the phone number for Steve Cohen, unfortunately. Trust me, if I did, I probably would have been banned by Citi Field by now for blowing up his phone too much. But let's talk now. We talked about the lineup, right? Now let's talk for the Tigers lineup. It is the following. Parker Meadows, who I'd imagine is related to Austin. Correct me if I'm wrong. This feels like a nepotism situation, right? You know, even though Austin is no longer with the Tigers, not even in the league, unfortunately, because of, mental health, if I'm not mistaken, that he's dealt with over the past couple of years. Regardless, Parker Meadows in the leadoff there at center field. Spencer Torkelson batting second, first baseman. Kerry Carpenter batting third at DH. Riley Green batting fourth, left field. Riley Green's a stud. I like him. Matt Verlaine, coming from the Philadelphia Phillies over the past couple of years. He's really found himself in Detroit, batting fifth. Colt Keith, I'd be lying if I said I knew confidently who that was, is batting 6th at second base. Carson Kelly, who I know very well during his time in Arizona, is batting 7th. Gio Urshela, which we all know very well, I feel like, batting 8th. And Zach McKinstry, again, another guy that's been in the league for a couple years now, they're batting 9th and at shortstop. But now, as we looked at the lines between the two teams here, and truthfully, again, the Mets, this lineup, I love this matchup for the Mets. Like, this is a lineup where I expect the Mets to perform well, but that's the thing about the Mets. It's all about expectations not meeting reality, and that's unfortunately been the case here to such a high degree that we've seen through the first couple games of the season. I love it. I'm not gonna lie, I crack up. Shout out to Make the Knicks Great Again at NBA Knicks _ on Twitter, who follows me but is just like such a toxic fan because he's a Yanks fan. No one's watching that dog, as I posted under the Mets tweet. Currently on Twitter, we're at roughly 600 concurrent viewers. Yes, no one gives a damn. Of course not. Why would they, right? Wink, wink. We talked about the lineups. Now let's talk about the pitching matchup. We got Adrian Hauser, the hose, on the mound for the Amazons, making his Metropolitan season debut after a very respectable spring campaign, facing off against a Casey Mize, who's looking to do some damage on the bump for the first time at the major league level in just under 2 years. So starting with Adrian Hauser today, everybody, my expectation for Adrian, again, it was similar to what Sean Manaea was yesterday. Sean Manaea exceeded yesterday's expectations, right? I'm offended now. Play the intro music, Michael. I'm sorry. No intro music at the moment, brother. We played it earlier, though, I'm pretty sure, right? So now let's get back into it for a second. And yes, the Mets game is delayed, in case you guys and gals are wondering. If you're just chiming in, Mets game is delayed to begin today, and that's perfectly fine. But getting now back to the pitching matchup, Adrian Hauser, again, when we looked at the Sean Manaea matchup yesterday, I told you all, I'm just hoping 5 to 6 innings of 2 to 3 earned run ball. Sean Manaea goes 6 shutty, allows 1 hit and 8 Ks. Looked absolutely phenomenal. His ability to utilize his fastball and the sweeper the way he did was brilliant. He made those Detroit batters look silly, but unfortunately the Mets batters were even worse because of absolutely horrendous that they have been to start the season. I cannot understate that enough. Seriously, it has been so bad. Emphasize is really what I should be saying here. But as we look at Adrian Hauser, again, this is a guy that is not overwhelming with his fastball, a little bit of a soft tosser, induces those ground ball outs. It'll be key to see, hopefully, some key double play turns by Brett Beatty to Lindor, Brett to Lindor. Lindor, if he's in that position, I'm actually blanking right now. I don't know why I'm having such a brain fart. Regardless on how the double plays go about, I think we're going to see a lot of ground balls today, both from the Mets and the Detroit Tigers side of things. So for Hauser, it's going to be about making sure you eliminate that long ball. It is something that I struggle with that we've seen over the past year and a half. It's something that, again, if he can command and get right, okay, I'm liking the chances of him coming out again with a 5-6 inning outing. If the Mets even go that far today, game-wise, giving you anywhere from, again, 2 to 3 earned runs. He's not going to be big with the strikeouts, but, you know, given what Sean Manaea did yesterday, maybe we could get at least 5 Ks from Adrian Hauser today, right? Maybe better, maybe worse. We'll see. But Hauser, I'm expecting to come up with a solid outing for the Mets, so if that drastically is different than the reality, I'll be pretty bummed by that, just because Hauser is a very solid, again, back-end starter for you usually, and he's a guy that, again, can comfortably go out there every 5th day and give you a solid 5-6 innings and keep you in the ball game. You know, he induces a lot of ground ball outs, which is certainly good. What vid, my friend, regarding John Boy? Let me know. Daniel, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. That really means a lot. Wow. Daniel, again, with a huge gifted. Get some hype in the chat, everybody watching on YouTube right now. Smash that like and subscribe button. We got ourselves 5 gifted for the 2nd straight day from my man Daniel. He hooks up Bobby G, Michael, Jockson, Professional Certified Hater, and Tim with the memberships. Congratulations, guys. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Daniel. You have no idea how much that not only means to me, but how much that supports the channel and what we're doing here. Thank you so much, my friend. Hype in the chat for you, as always. Can this core of Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, and Nemo Diaz win something? Do you still believe in this team? I believe in this team to an extent, and I'll be frank, I do not believe in this team to win it all with this core whatsoever. More needs to be had, and that's why I'm damn excited to see what JD Martinez can do. And before people go the lengths of saying, oh, it's JD Martinez, a washed-up grizzled vet. He might be a grizzled vet, but he missed me with the bullshit on the washed-up part, because he's anything but. and I'm damn excited to see one of the best power hitters in Major League Baseball for the past decade be implemented as the Mets' everyday cleanup hitter more often than not in this lineup. That's going to make a difference, and I cannot wait to see that happen. Hype in the chat to you, as always, Daniel. Really appreciate that. And guys and gals, too, if you're watching on Twitter, again, if you'd like to interact here, as we have north of 900 live concurrent viewers on Twitter, if you want to interact with me, interact in the chat as well, make sure you chime into the YouTube version. Greatly appreciate it. Just love doing the stream on the multi-platforms right now because it's having a lot of early success. You guys seem to like it because I know there's people on Twitter that don't want to bother going on YouTube. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube, vice versa, do not want to go on Twitter. But given the fact that we're trying to build the channel, obviously, want to incentivize you guys. So all interactions, as always, will be happening here on YouTube. I did want to address a couple comments, though, before we go further. But actually, let me double check for a second. Okay, so as you see, between Hauser here, again, he's going to be on the bump. We got Casey Mize on the other. I do want to address Casey Mize here for a second because I'm excited to see how he does tonight. Even against the Mets, Casey Mize is a guy that a lot of people should be following this year in the AL. I think he's going to have a damn good season coming back from his injury. I need a Schmuck shirt. Yes, you do. And we need to get the Schmuck shirts rolling again. I know, long overdue. Hi. Yeah, the game is not canceled. It is just postponed, everybody, at this point. Where the Mets need a non-nonsense manager like Joe Madden? No. There's no need to rush a managerial change right now. That's why the Mets have had so many issues, too, because they've had no sustainability. There's been no structure, anything like that. I'm going to give Mendoza a big leash, and you guys and gals should, too. Regardless on how good or bad the season ends up being, you know, for now, at least 4 games of the season, we should not be jumping the gun on that sense. Showing how they don't try to break up double plays. Very interesting. I will definitely check that out, Cooks. Thank you so much for that. Not shocked by that either, because again, the Mets have been playing sloppy defense at this point. You know, that has definitely been something that we have noticed for sure. So I will definitely check that out at some point later today. But now I want to talk about Casey Mize for a minute. Because Casey Mize is a guy that, again, when he first came up with Detroit back in 2019, 2020 area, you know, top prospect, a lot of excitement. He was looking good early in his career. You know, again, small sample size, but in 2021, 150 innings, 3.71 ERA, 4.92 expected ERA. Expected numbers not great, but Casey, again, solid first year in the bigs. 2022 only pitches 10 innings. He needs his season-ending surgery. He hasn't pitched in the bigs since. He looked fantastic in spring, competing for a rotation spot. I think he went 3-1 this spring with a 2.2 ERA. And Casey Mize is looking to do some damage, everybody. And especially against a Mets team that we know has been horrendous against any type of pitcher so far this season, it feels like. Casey Mize, who is looking fantastic with that electric fastball. So much life, so much velocity. That is what he's commanded so well all spring long. That's going to do some damage. And another thing, this is a Casey Mize that at least understands these type of inclement weather. You know what I mean? I know it's not going to be a fun game by any stretch today, more than likely, but this is a Casey Mize that, again, is playing in Detroit. He knows what these cold, frigid days are like, even though he doesn't have massive sample sizes the way that maybe some of the other guys on the team do. Point being is that this is still very much someone that we need to be keeping an eye on, because Casey Mize would not shock me in the slightest if he comes out and absolutely carves up the Mets. That's different than how I felt yesterday with Reese Olson, where, again, a young, exciting sophomore pitcher that just had a sub-4 ERA last season with Detroit. Very much a beatable pitcher that the Mets just decided not to beat. Again, the Mets had 2 runners on with no outs to begin the game yesterday, and they lost 5-0. And that isn't the perfect example of how much of a shit show this Mets team has been on the offensive front, at least to begin the year. I don't know what else is, because that is as clear as day a prime example of how the Mets are currently operating. And we need this funk to snap, and we need to snap fast, because the more this drags, the more they dig a hole that's going to be so difficult to get themselves out of. Then before you know, it's like even JD Martinez can't dig us out of this hole, because we're 10 games below 500, 10 games into the season. So it's imperative for the Mets, as I've been saying every day, and I will say again, to get up early and often. That is one thing. Secondly, what is mightily important for this Mets team is to get production from their core group. I'm calling on you, Brandon. I'm calling on you, Francisco. I'm calling on you, Pete. You are the guys we need to see step up, especially early in the ball games, all right? There's been a lot of narratives going around with Lindor on, oh, he's just a second half guy. Truthfully, if you actually look at Lindor's numbers year by year, that is not necessarily the case, especially when looking at certain leverage situations as well. It varies year by year with him. But I do understand to a degree where you can see, okay, Lindor has really turned it on once we got more to summertime. It would be great if not only him, Nimmo, Alonso, everybody can turn things on fast. And I understand, too, it's not fun playing at Citi Field to begin the season with the type of weather that we're having right now. That's why we would all love a dome, even though, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So this is a problem that we've seen for years with the Mets early on this season. Even when we look back to, say, the 2019 season, right? Was it 2019 where they started the season like 11-0 and then, of course, missed playoffs? Bullpen was cooked with Diaz. It was 2018 or 2019 when that happened. Point is since then, the Mets, again, to begin a season when it's been this type of weather has been fun. The Mets have had a great amount of success, funny enough, however, on doubleheaders. At least, up until this past season. I honestly don't recall how doubleheaders were much for the Mets in 2023 because I was just so tapped out early on in the year with the way that they were performing. But point I'm trying to make again is that there are a lot of factors that are going against the Mets, but it still doesn't change the fact that these guys are paid the big bucks. And while we can come up with as many excuses as possible, they need to perform at the end of the day. So let's hope that we can see that starting tonight. It is absolutely ridiculous to see the lack of production we've seen from this Mets core group. There's no other team in Major League Baseball at the moment that has had a lack of production from their core players the way that the Mets have had through their first series plus of a season. And yes, you could say, okay, it's only four. It's only, it's only 4 players, right? Or 4 games, rather. But just like that, if, say, the Mets drop tonight, say they get swept again, you're going 0-6 to start the year. That is such a difficult thing to dig yourself out of, even early on into the season for a Mets team that, again, according to David Stearns, according to everybody, has playoff aspirations, going to be pushing for playoffs. Okay, if you're going to be doing these things, then we expect you to at least be showing the type of positive production where even if you're going to lose ball games, keep yourselves in it. Have entertaining baseball. Give us fans a reason to give a damn, because so far, 4 games in the season, there has been nothing, absolutely nothing, to warrant giving a crap from what we've seen, other than the few bright spots headlined by Francisco Alvarez, headlined by Starling Marte, and yesterday, most certainly to a T, Sean Manaea, and of course the 2 scoreless outings we've had from Edwin Diaz, in which they've all been in wasted situations. That is another thing that I emphasized yesterday, and I'll say it again, grinds my gears like no tomorrow. A Mets team that wastes great pitching when you finally have it. We saw it all throughout DeGrom's entire tenure here, which will always stain until the day I pass. The same way here with Sean Manaea. Again, first outing, looks fantastic. Mets are like a top 5 or top 7 team right now in the ERA this season. However, they're the only team in that group that doesn't have a winning record. It's almost like there's some glaring problems with the core group of this offense and something needs to change about it. Yes, what needs to change is their production level, 1, but 2, if we find ourselves, really treading water, like terribly, to the point by the deadline, right? That's a question where it's like, okay, what do you do with the future of this core? Because I can tell you right now, unless things significantly change, I do not see a chance in hell a certain second baseman is on this roster by the season's conclusion, or better yet, after the season, rather. I think in a lot of ways, this might be Jeff McNeil's final time with the Mets. But again, it's not necessarily that I want him gone. I want him to perform better than what he currently is. And this is now going on what feels like a year and a half plus now, where we're just not getting the type of production that we hope to see from not only Jeff, but now we're even seeing, to a certain extent, at least with other players in this lineup that we know we're relying on for our offense on the day-to-day. Sorry to be negative, but they consistently make the wrong move. No, I understand. I 100% hear that as well. I don't blame anyone that have been frustrated to a high degree with the Mets so far this season. I've been right in that mix with you guys. And at the end of the day, it's very important for the Mets to try to change things fast, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves in a spot where no one's going to be attending games this summer and everything's going to be too little too late for them, which is something that Mets fans know very well about being too little too late, whether it's about addressing the DH position, right? Whether it's about addressing the bullpen, whatever it may be, we know that to a T. Now, we talked a lot about not only the lineups that we saw, the pitching matchup. So between the two and Adrian Hauser and Casey Mize, everyone watching live on YouTube and on Twitter, feel free to drop the comments, even though I won't see them. Let me know, who do you think is going to win this pitching battle today between Casey Mize and, yes, that being an Adrian Hauser? Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Mets team waiting on Kodai Senga to ghost our opponents. I can't wait for Senga to be back. I mean, he needs to come back. a lot more positive updates, which is great. Mendy said today in his pregame presser that things are continuing to look great with him as he's been throwing again. So everything to this point, knock on wood, is trending in the right direction for Kodai, and hopefully we're just around a month away from having him back in this rotation, because when I tell you the Mets need Kodai Senga, they need Kodai Senga. But you know what they need more than anything right now? They just need an offense that actually knows what the hell they're doing, because right now they have anything but an identity with this organization, with this lineup, and again, just with the club as a whole. There's a lot missing at the moment. There's a lack of fire, there's a lack of interest, there's a lack of determination, there's a lack of confidence, and that is what pisses me off most, especially if you're making, you know, good money. If you're making anywhere from 10 mil plus, especially this year, and there's just not a fire, if there's a lack of confidence, miss me with that bullshit. All right, you're paid the money, you've been here, you've done that. Things should not be drastically different now. Oh, just because you dropped the first 4 games. One, it's your own fault. So look in the mirror. And Lindor is always holding himself accountable, which is great. Even saw a pic today from a young little beat reporter I saw that was in the Mets clubhouse yesterday. He posted on Twitter and said, you know, first thing he saw, Lindor sitting in a chair and writing notes. Consistent notes, being one of the last guys in there and taking a lot of information for Pete Alonso, especially Pete sharing different things about his hitting approach and stuff like that. So Lindor is doing everything he possibly can to get himself where he needs to be. And I trust his work ethic. I've seen it as well, you know, behind the scenes in spring training. Everything Lindor does, how he goes about his game on the day by day, is why I have little to no concerns on his front. Same can be said to degrees with guys like Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo. Where things are different is where, of course, the young players, if say, you know, Brett Beatty goes through a lot of struggles again, how does he go about those? Thankfully, so far, so good this year. Charlie Marte, have no complaints there. He has been such a great early bright spot for this Mets team. As example, 798, why you don't put much stock into spring outings for veteran batters, especially in the case of Marte. He looked healthy all spring. He just didn't swing the bat well. Now he's locked in. And again, already being in your mid-30s, I can get the gist, similar to like Tommy Pham when he was here last year, when he was asked in spring training and grading the regular season, that these are just guys that, you know, just know kind of how to lock in when they need to lock in. And that's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure they're healthy and get their body right. You look at other guys in the lineup too. Harrison Bader is a guy that, you know, has been an automatic out, right? The one hit he did have, he got it thrown out at second comfortably by Christian Yelich because he just had a terrible read as he turned first. Like, it's just a boneheaded play there. Tyrone Taylor, I've liked what I've seen so far from him. Hopefully we get more production. Francisco Alvarez, I know what to expect there, so I'm just expecting more of the same from Alvy. But again, it comes down to this core group, as we all know. Let's see here. Wardy, thanks so much for addressing the McNeil situation. I honestly feel like him losing his temper with Hoskins' slide was first domino. It was. It was. Truthfully, like, as much as I don't like Rhys Hoskins, you can make the proper counter now in hindsight with what the trickle effect has been since then on how much of a negative impact that had on the Mets. No good came of that entire situation. And at the end of the day, it was rooted by, yes, a slide that I wasn't happy with either, but still a Jeff McNeil that cannot get his emotions in check. Right? This is Jeff that was voicing this issue that we saw going back to previous occasions with Rhys. And while Rhys is a little bitch, pardon my French, we all know that, Rhys also did that slide without true malicious intent. And I don't think anyone truly believed he was doing that with malicious intent. If he did, it was a poor way. I mean, Rhys is very soft. Every time he talks is when he's walking away, not right in front of your face. Tells you a lot about the guy. But at the core, he became the villain and took full advantage of that opportunity. And that's why the Mets have been in such disarray. It wouldn't be a Metsian start to the season without there being endless drama the way that we're already seeing. And at the end of the day, these guys need to be more professional in those certain areas, right? So now, as we can look at the negative repercussions from that situation, yes, now I think you can make a proper evaluation and say this falls just as much on the shoulders of Jeff as it does Rhys, if not more. Because it was still, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, a legal slide. And now Jeff, you know, one way or another, became this trickle-down effect, which made the Mets decide in the stupidest way possible, yes, let's pre-plan, let's throw out Rhys Hoskins after he goes 3 for 3 with a home run and 4 RBIs. That'll still drive me nuts. I cannot comprehend that, but it is what it is. So Now, while we talked about these matchups, we talked about the pitching matchups, and now I want to get into the fun part. Again, a lot of this is fun, guys, and we got just under 300 concurrent viewers here on YouTube. Thank you all so much. We have over 1,000 more on Twitter, 1.4K. Happy to have you all in here. Everyone that's first chiming in because you saw my tweet from the Mets tweet as well, thank you so much. Know that, again, if you'd like to chime in and share your input here as we're doing a pregame show, know that interactions will only be happening there on YouTube at the WardyNYM channel, as we're just a couple hundred subs away from 25K, which we'll be doing a massive giveaway. So make sure you get in on that while you can right now, guys and gals, and thank you all so much. But as we go further into this one, everybody, I do want to talk about Guardian of Chaos. Great moderator as always. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Joseph, yes, the Mets are not rained out currently. That is true. They're just having a rain delay. But now let's talk about, again, my picks and props of the day. Here are Wardy's parlays and picks of the day. And yes, I'm going certified hater. Shout out to him for literally having the name in the chat. I'm going certified hater against the Yanks today. I am absolutely hammering the Diamondbacks. I think Zach Gallen puts the Yanks to bed, gives them their first regular season loss of the year. And hey, if it blows up in my face, you know, that's what you get for betting against a 5-0 team. The best team you could probably say to begin the regular season right now, that being the New York Yankees, led by a tremendous Juan Soto that I cannot wait to see what happens as we get into the offseason. It's going to be such a crazy pursuit. It's going to be a crazy time for a man that's going to be looking for $600 million. And yes, he will be looking for that. But let's start by talking about my favorite pick of the day here. And you realize the trend, how I don't have the Mets as a betting pick, because you shouldn't bet on the Mets right now. Again, if you're trying to do this safe, securely, responsibly, the best way you can with our great friends at BetUS, by clicking the link down below for all my YouTube viewers. For people watching on Twitter as well, you could do the same by just going to the YouTube stream, clicking down below. That way you too get 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits with all your sports betting needs at BetUS. But as we take a look at the Braves run line, folks, they just won 9-0 against the White Sox yesterday. Emphasis, the Chicago White Sox. Need I say more? The line has already actually, the line is just the same. Braves run line, -1.5 at -121 odds. So what this means is if you deposit, say, $121, the Braves hit, you get an additional 100 to work with. You're out with 221, which is awesome. I fully expect this to hit, obviously, even with Ronaldo Lopez on the bump for the Braves, who was signed, you know, a reliever kind of turned starter now. He's stretching into a starter for the Atlanta Braves. Looks sharp in certain outings that we saw in spring. Electric fastball. I like the breaking stuff he's got too against a depleted White Sox team, as we know, a bottom feeder this year. And all the Braves need to do is, again, win and make sure that they win at least by a couple runs there. So Atlanta Braves, I got them there as the run line. That is Wardy's pick of the day. Absolutely love that. Then we have the Boston Red Sox, who we had in one of our two-pick parlays yesterday. That hit along with the Baltimore Orioles money line. Staying away from Baltimore today just because I'm curious how that pitching matchup's going to go. But Red Sox today, they've been hot. Tyler O'Neill has been hot. There's been a lot to like about that matchup against a soft-tossing southpaw and Alex Wood. I expect this Red Sox team to absolutely rake as well against the Oakland A's, who are nothing short of a laughingstock, and they deserve to be laughed at all season long for quite literally sending down some of their best players for wearing wristbands going against your organization. Almost like you have the most dog shit owner in baseball. I digress. Red Sox, they're currently at -145 odds on the money line. Easy hammer. Love that. Arizona Diamondbacks, I know there's a lot of controversy with this, and if you do not want to tail this, that's completely fine. This is more me feeling confident in Zach Gallen's abilities tonight. Again, one of the best young starters in the NL. He'll be competing for Cy Young once again this year, and I just really like this matchup. I think the D-backs, after, again, an unfortunate loss yesterday, Zach Gallen on the bump today, I have a confidence level there. I think the Yankees are going to see some things that they just haven't seen so far this season because of Zach Gallen, and I expect the D-backs to hopefully, again, even things up now and make it a 1-1 series and give the New York Yankees their first official loss of the 2024 season. If it doesn't happen, okay. I will say this. If you guys want to go more the safer route, just do Braves run line and Red Sox money line. If you want to go a little crazy like me, you do the 3 and you hammer the Diamondbacks. And just to give you guys and gals an idea what the odds are here, if you do this 3-pick parlay through BetUS as things currently stand, let me grab here all the matchups at the moment. So we just grabbed the Braves matchup. Now let's grab here the Diamondbacks, and last but not least, let's find the Red Sox. If we do this 3-pick parlay right now, everybody, just to give you all an idea, if you put down 100, which I do not suggest for a 3-pick parlay, just give you context, however, 100 wins 500. Big bag right there. Putting down just 10 is going to win you 50. If you put down 50, you're going to win 250, right? So there's a lot to like there. Love the odds there. Make sure to bet responsibly, as always, to all my fellow sports bettors out there. And shout out to BetUS once again, as always, for being an amazing sponsor here on the channel. But before I switch on to the other slide, before I get back to talking a little bit more on the lineups and all that kind of fun stuff, before we get on to wrapping things up in the next 10-15 minutes, I do want to know, do you guys like, do you dislike Wardy's pick parlay today? What is your favorite pick? What is maybe your least favorite pick? Are there picks that are currently going on in the betting space that we haven't discussed that you would like us to? Whatever they are, drop them down below. Thank you all so much in advance. Really does mean a lot. I miss Gourmet. Love Gourmet too, but at the same time, I don't miss him, if that makes sense, right? I mean, Gourmet was a negative offensive and defensive player last year. What is there to miss aside from the beard and the awesome catch he had that we saw back how many springs ago, thanks to Danny Hedgeveria, Mets legend, Braves legend, if you know, you know, Miami Marlins legend. This team gets 5 straight wins. The combo changes 100%. 100% the combo changes, and hopefully the Mets can do that, but just not something I'm not going to get my hopes up at this point in time. Let's see. Daniel says, I took Braves, Red Sox, and O as my parlay. All money line, I'm assuming there. I like that. I like that. The O's, again, I can definitely see the O's winning again against the Kansas City Royals. Just with Irvin on the mound, I just don't know what to expect from him, so that really went in hand with my decision-making. Just a lack of certainty there on my end. And I know it's kind of crazy to say that. I didn't pick I didn't pick O's money line, but I did pick D-backs money line. Again, that just shows you how crazy I am. Regardless, though, we'll see how that goes, and I wish you all luck to everyone that's betting as well. Let's see here. Hope Dodgers don't make it to the World Series, says Daniel in the chat. Let's see. I have a feeling the vets feel the same, especially Pete, says AS. I do not see how the Mets win against the Tigers' next 2 starters. Yesterday was their best shot. Yeah, that's a frustrating thing, right? Wardy, am I going to jump ship to the Braves with this pick? No. Not jumping ship to the Braves. I'm too much of a diehard fan to do such a thing. But trust me when I say I envy the hell out of what the Braves do and their continued success. And that's something that we hope that we can build at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. But again, you know, just got to take it day by day right now as fans. It's all we can do. But we talked a bit about the betting. Now let's get back into talking about, again, the lineups here. Not the pitching matchup. Let's talk about the lineups. Again, the only error I have, again, for the lineups, everybody, is DH is WardyNYM leading off. He is not in the left field today. It's Tyrone Taylor. So just ignore that when you see that on the screen again, everybody. But before we're kind of getting to, you know, wrapping things up on just answering questions, whatever questions you have, my question, everybody, is if the Mets do play this game enough, if this gets an official game where we get at least 5-6 innings and someone has a lead here, who do you think is going to win today's matchup? And give me your final score prediction. Do the Mets snap the 5-0 win streak of Detroit, which truthfully, the win streak means nothing to me personally with how they've gotten their first wins. Any team can beat the Mets right now, one. It's true, and that's not to undermine the Tigers. I know they're young and exciting, but they also won their first series against the Chicago White Sox, right? So I have to wonder if things would be different if they weren't matching up with the Chicago, especially to kick things off. But I do want to know, everybody, where do you stand? Do you think the Mets losing streak gets extended to 5 games and the win streak continues for Detroit? Or do you expect a flip-flop? Mets finally get on the win column for the first time this season, and Detroit is handed their first L. Let me know, who do you have winning tonight? And secondly, what is your prediction? DH today is Nimmo, everybody. My apologies again. Once more, it is in fact, yes, WardyNYM. Matty, not as washed as you, brother. Happy to have you in here. Let's see. This team plays like they miss Buck. No, they don't, because this team was dog shit all last season with Buck. Miss me with that nonsense, personally. WardyNYM, how are you? I'm doing fantastic, Jacob. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, my man. Let's see. DJG says, who expected more? Really? After the season ended, we were hopeless. Then we get JD. We were all happy. 4 games later, meltdown. I mean, I think, let me put it this way. You can have an irrational short-term reaction without thinking that it's the season over, right? You don't need to act like Frank the Tank on the day-to-day, but you can also be a fan that wants to voice their opinions, emotions, and also voice frustration, because this frustration with the Mets' first 4 games of the season is not nearly as much about it being the first 4 games of the season as it is, this is a continuation, guys. This is a continuation of over a year and a half of shit baseball, where there's been no identity, there's been no consistency, and you have nothing to rhythm. That is what this boils down to. I promise you, no Mets fan would be outside of a schmuck like Frank. No one would be acting in the manner that they are right now if the Mets are coming off of, again, a winning season where there's a lot of things to be excited about. Yes, you're going to have your overreactions, but again, if there was a lot more confidence and optimism with the team initially heading into the season based on what we saw in the year prior, I assure you that would go in hand with the fans, interest or maybe a lack thereof in the club right now. And furthermore, how adamant they are about, say, wanting drastic changes or wanting, just things to be different, because when your core group isn't stepping up, that's the biggest bugaboo. Everyone and their mother has every right to want to call them out then. If you're not stepping up when you need to, you've got nothing, right? You need this core group to do what they're supposed to do. And if they're not doing that, they have nothing. And this Mets team will go absolutely nowhere this year. They won't even sniff the outside looking in for playoffs. They won't even get remotely close to that point. So again, it's very important for the Mets to try to right this ship as soon as they can. I'm not expecting them to win every game. I just need them to get in a rhythm, and I want them to show us entertaining baseball. This team, when they lose terribly, and they've lost so much the past year and a half that has been nothing short of an embarrassment to watch, witness, let alone attend a ball game. And that's why I commend you all that have attended games so far this season, because you're brave. You are. I do not recommend anyone spends a dime at City unless we finally start to see change. And this is the best part, because as I say that, we got Skies in the YouTube chat right now saying, at Citi Field right now, do I wait it out or just leave? Skies, it's up to you. I would say if you're already there, you might as well wait it out. I don't know how long your commute is back home. It's going to be a rain delay, but the Mets are really trying to hope they can get this game in today, because the weather doesn't look any better tomorrow. Pretty sure it looks just about the same, if not worse. And then you have the off day Thursday, but Detroit, again, they got to leave. So is this a situation where things just get doubled or tripled up there when the Mets are in Detroit this season? I have no clue. So this is another reason why it's so frustrating to watch early season Mets baseball, because even if they are playing well, the rain, the weather is a constant problem that we have with this team in the first couple months of the season, right? It's a constant issue. The Mets have played more doubleheaders than any other team in Major League Baseball since the start of the 2021 season. That's a fact. Look it up. And this is something that's going to continue, unfortunately, because, again, we don't have a dome. We're in the East Coast, and it just loves to rain. It sucks. It is what it is, but that's the unfortunate reality we find ourselves in at the moment. Where can you watch the game online? When the game's on, you can watch it, of course, if you have if you have an MLB TV package, or of course you can try through various streaming areas. Of course, SNY as well. If you are local, if you're able to be part of SNY, among others, just to name a few. Of course, you can try some other streams that I can't necessarily label for you, but there are streams out there that you could get maybe free of charge. Don't know, wouldn't know, but there are ways to go about finding the games for sure. Yes. Let's see. What's the deal with JD? How many at-bats do he need before he's ready? He just needs his normal ramp. You guys got to realize, JD Martinez is not allowed to be called up to the Mets right now, even if he's ready. He's on an assignment that's at least 10 days. It's mandatory by the league. So JD cannot be up any sooner than this Sunday. So that is as soon as we'll see JD. I'm hoping that we see him there. I'm hoping he has an immediate impact. I won't be surprised if he's a little rusty, especially if you get things and, shitty weather as well. It definitely happens for sure. But overall, very excited to see what JDM can do. And hopefully, again, if we get him back Sunday, that'll be massive. If we can get him back Sunday in that Red Series before they wrap things up, right? Because I'm pretty sure that Sunday game is the series finale in Cincy. Let me just double check right now. And again, guys, we're 20 likes away from 100 here on YouTube. Smash that like and subscribe on. It really means a lot. People on Twitter, we got roughly 2,000 concurrent viewers. Happy to have you all in here as we're breaking down everything you need to know about the latest matchup between the Metropolitans and the Detroit Tigers. A little error on my end that I apologize for. Again, as you'll see on the left side of the screen, Brandon Nimmo is listed as left fielder today, when in reality he is DH. So apologies once more on the error there. But that is what I have to say about that. But as we look at the Reds, okay, this Sunday, the Mets have a 140-day game. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. Here's the thing, folks. As long as there's no setbacks, JD Martinez will be here for the 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves. And while I fully expect the Mets to lose at least 3 of those 4 games, and I don't even say that in a pessimistic way. I truly say that in just a rational way. Why should we expect the Mets to even win that series? Split? Maybe. That would be awesome. Not getting my hopes up. But having Martinez back, especially for that series, will be massive. It can be huge. And it would be great to see, again, JDM's first taste of the Mets uniform raking against Atlanta to kick things off. That would be electric to see if he does not actually get in a game there until that Monday. But hopefully we can get him in there as soon as a Sunday against the Reds. Let's see. That Friday game versus the Reds is on Apple TV. That's a bummer, but don't worry. As long as things don't currently change on my front, I will be doing post-game coverage Friday, so we'll still have that for you now. Bader's a lefty now. Someone said in the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, that was an error on my end too. Okay, apologies for that, Yun Jay. Who comment on Twitter, no, Bader isn't a lefty now. I gotta say, I love when people get smart when I post a graphic and there's an error or whatever. I'm like, no shit. We all know it's an error. Thank you. I apologize. Crucify me. Do whatever you gotta do. Let's see. He might change the vibes for sure. Party at Wardy's house on Sunday. Party at my house. Let's make it happen, baby. Speaking of parties, everybody, watch parties are making a return. I don't know if they're going to return this week because I'm still trying to get everything finalized for it. Want it all fancy, nice setup for you. And also, I'm not going to be the one just hosting the watch parties. There will be other creators, not named me, that will be doing weekly watch parties on the channel this year that I'm very excited about. That'll be beginning either this or next week. Just be on the lookout, guys. Throughout the month of April, you're going to see, again, these reoccurring segments. But our goal every single day, for the most part at least, hopefully 4 to 5 days out of the 7-day week at minimum, we have pregame shows. Post-game shows will be happening at minimum 5 out of 7 days, usually on average. Could be more, could be less, depending on the week, just based on either games, matchup, availability, all those kind of things. But we're going to be covering the vast majority per usual. And then, again, we're going to have at least one game a week where you're locked and loaded. You get pregame coverage, watch party, and post-game coverage. So it's going to be a lot happening every single week here on the channel. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you guys and gals are too. That's going to be a lot of fun, especially for like watch party games, or say it is on Apple TV, for example, right, where a lot of people can't watch. That's where we can kind of take advantage and, you know, not necessarily doing play-by-play. That's not something I intend to do for the times I am personally hosting the watch parties this year, but more so just making this a fun, comfortable stream where we're all reacting together, right? The same way that you guys see me live tweet and react the way I do is the way I will do now, versus kind of trying to do my best Gary, Keith, and Ron impression, because I think we would all appreciate just listening to the broadcast while following and reacting together. I think that's a really fun thing to do. So looking forward to that. Again, as I mentioned, someone hit on the head. JD hits behind Betts and Freeman. Yes, he did, but are we going to forget about also what JD has done everything else in his career? Are we going to forget about the fact that still, when they're right, Brandon Nemo, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, JD Martinez, Francisco Alvarez, that is a damn good 1 through 5, as long as you have the guys performing to the caliber they're supposed to. I'm not even saying to reach their highest expectations. I'm just saying their average production would be fantastic from that 1 through 5. So to suggest that, oh, JD is going to be on no man's land, like he's going to get all these really difficult pitches, or he's going to get no pitches, is silly. Pete Alonso is going to be seeing now either some more pitches in the zone at times, if say he's a little cold and JD's hot behind him, and then hopefully Pete can snap out of his bad streaks that way. You're also going to see Pete get walked more because of the fact that they're going to test JD Martinez and say, you know what, we're going to try our chances here versus Pete, and that's where we're going to pounce. That's where you're going to see a difference. And then you add in Francisco Alvarez, and then you hopefully add in a Brett Beatty as well, who's batting fifth today for the Mets, right? There are exciting aspects to this team if they can just get right. Unfortunately, 4 games in the season without JD Martinez especially, this team has been nothing short of lifeless. So having said that, all everybody, I'm not going to be too long-winded with this one, so now I just want to answer whatever comments, questions, and concerns you got for me. But ahead of tonight's game, we will be wrapping things up here within the next, 5 minutes or so. Let's see. I hope I'm wrong, but just by what we've seen the last 2 years, that we overachieved in 2022. We did overachieve in 2022. I think a problem is that we overachieved in 2022 to the point similar to the San Francisco Giants when they had their crazy run where everyone had the fountain of youth, and it's it really has derailed the Mets. It has put them a step back. Tingus, I did not watch the breakdown, but I will certainly do that. And I appreciate the donation greatly. Thank you so much, my friend. It really does mean a lot. I will definitely check out the John Boy breakdown. I'll actually check it out once we're done here, so that way I can reference it in tonight's post-game show if it's brought up in discussion, or especially if it's warranted, where like we're actually seeing a similar situation happen, whatever it may be. So yeah, I will gladly check that out. I know he always does a great job with the breakdowns. If there's one thing I will say that John Boy does a fantastic job of, they do, again, a lot of things really well, but there will be nothing, in my opinion, that trumps the breakdowns. That is what I will always know them for, and that's what a lot of you guys and gals know them for too, and I'm looking forward to checking out that video. McNeil's odd man out with the youngins coming up. When they do come up, that is a possibility, yes. I'm not going to say it's impossible. Do I think the Mets are out of the deadline? I think McNeil gets traded if there's a proper suitor. If McNeil is really treading water and having a difficult time by the deadline, it is not going to be easy to trade him, and you're going to have to eat a good portion of that contract. Now, we have an owner that's very willing and open to doing those kind of things, so that's a plus at least. But the downside is, it's like, okay, you might not even have much of a market for him. So we'll find out, again, as we go through the trials and tribulations of the season together. But ultimately, hopefully, fingers crossed, this Mets team is buyers and not sellers by the trade deadline. So, again, we'll see. Right now, they're very much in selling mode through the first 4 games. Can't deny that part. But I also can say that there's a lot more that's going to happen this year that we have yet to see. And we got right now, everybody, around 2,000 viewers on Twitter. Thank you all so much, everybody watching live on that one. Really does mean a lot. For everyone watching on Twitter, make sure to hit that like, that follow button, that retweet button, and check me out also here on YouTube. That way, if you want to interact here like we're doing on YouTube in the chat, we greatly appreciate it. And thank you all so much again. But everybody, I think that's about going to do it for the show. I do want to see your owner has more money than baseball brains. I don't know what that means, Lord, but yes, our owner has a lot of money. That is for certain. Bring back Cologne if he's willing. Why the hell not? What do we got to lose? That 88-mile-per-hour meatball is still probably better than what we'd be getting right now from some of these guys. But actually, no, I scratched that. I don't want Big Bart back for the pitching. I want him back for the offense. He's the only man that actually has power in this lineup at the moment. Bring Big Sexy back, put him in DH until JDM's in the lab. That's what I say. I love watching you too, Lord. Thank you so much, brother. And I know that actually sounds pretty creepy, so I'm going to take a step back and scratch what I said and say, I just love you too. Appreciate the love. Really does mean a lot. Guardian of Chaos, appreciate you guys. Guys, we're going to wrap it up now. Appreciate you all that took the time to watch live on our replay. Mets look to hopefully end their losing ways and kick off their winning ways tonight. A frigid cold night at Citi Field, where I won't be shocked if there isn't even a full game played, and maybe this pregame show's useless, and we're going to have to do it all again, same time, same place tomorrow. So we'll soon see what happens regarding the overall start of tonight's game and how long it goes on. Yes, that is all locked in, Tingus, but that is not in the public eye yet, so we're going to keep that hush-hush until I feel like releasing it. We're going to have a fun announcement when the time's right. Appreciate that donation, though. Thank you so much. And again, we're going to wrap things up now. Love you guys to death. Appreciate the support. Stay tuned for post-game coverage later today after hopefully a Metropolitan win. And until then, have a great one. And as always, let's go Mets.